All right, so we're on to section 1, 2, grouping symbols. And grouping symbols are used to show that certain expressions are to be simplified first. Now, you remember how we said expression that's where we simplify, doesn't have an equal sign, okay? So that's an expression. So that means whatever is in the grouping symbols we need to do first, kind of before the order of operations. So the three main grouping symbols are parentheses, brackets, and fraction bar. So parentheses, I'm going to just kind of give you an example of what everything looks like. So you should be familiar, hopefully, with parentheses. So there we go. So you would be doing the 5 plus 4 first, and then adding 3. And then brackets, if you had this, so it is, you would do the 3 times 7 first, and then times 4. Now you might be wondering why, what's the difference between parentheses and brackets? Actually, the reason why we have it is if you have a lot of parentheses, if you were to have an equation and you had something like 2 times 3 times 2 times 3, okay, it kind of can get confusing of what goes with what, so you might have brackets instead of parentheses to make sure these two go together, these two go together, okay? So that's just kind of they're the same purpose, you can use them together so that you don't get confused of which ones, which parentheses go with which and which bracket goes with which. Okay. And the fraction bar. So we have that. So it's 15 minus 3 divided by 7 minus 4. So you would do the top first, the bottom first, the top, the bottom, and then you would divide, even though order of operations says divide first. But gotta use the grouping symbols first, okay? How can a grouping symbol change a problem? Well, I'm going to show you both of these problems. They look the same, except this one has parentheses, okay? So this one does not have parentheses, therefore I have to do order of operations. That means I have to do 3 divided by 3 first. So that's 9 minus 1, which is 8. Now this one, we don't do order of operations. Well, we do, but parentheses come first. So parentheses, so we do 9 minus 3, which is 6, and then divided by 3, which is 2. Okay? Huge difference. You're going to get something different, so you got to be careful. It's not letting me scroll down. Hold on. There we go. Sometimes there are multiple sets of grouping symbols in the same expression. Okay? That means you're going to always begin with the innermost grouping symbol in the problems. If there are no grouping symbols, follow the order of operations. Okay? So, work your way innermost for grouping symbols, work your way out, and then order of operations. So we're going to have our example problem right here, and we need to, so we see how you have the bracket and the parentheses. We're going to have the innermost parentheses. That's the innermost one, so we're going to do that first. So 7 plus 6 is 13. So now that I simplify this expression, I can get rid of those parentheses right there. So now I'm just going to rewrite the problem without those parentheses because I simplified it already. Now my next step is the brackets, okay? That's the next grouping symbol. So 52 divided by 13 is 4. I used my calculator for that, so don't think I'm magic. Okay, so again, I got rid of the brackets because I already simplified what's inside of it. So now we have 18 minus 4, which is 14. And last one, evaluate. Okay, so it says that A equals 2, B equals 5, C equals 1. So when we have evaluate, we plug in the numbers for the variables, and then we solve it, or simplify it. Sorry, don't solve. Simplify it as much as possible, because there's no equals. Okay, so I'm going to just plug them all in. So we have 2, and then we have 2 plus 5 divided by 2 minus 1. Now, when we have this, you can think of this as a multiplying right by it. It's kind of like, if we had 7x and you have that little multiply. Same thing with over here. So, we've got to do our grouping symbols first. Okay, so we have to do 2 plus 5 because that's the parentheses. So that's going to be that equals, because I'm just simplifying it, so that'd be 2 times 7 over 2 minus 1. Now you see we have that fraction bar. The fraction bar tells us that we have to simplify the top and simplify the bottom separately before we divide. So I'm going to simplify the top, which 2 times 7 is 14, and I'm going to simplify the bottom. 2 minus 1 is 4, and what's 14 divided by 1? It's 14, so we have to simplify that. Okay, so there we go. There you have it.